Hi everyone! It is so good to see you here. My name is Renee, and I pray that we might grow in our faith together. I'm back. It's been so long since I made a video. I think it's like over a year since I last posted something here on this YouTube channel. So it is time for kind of a life update and also kind of a bit of a testimony because once again, God has been working through my life and he showed me that he has. So that means that this video will be a bit of a long one. I am trying to keep it short and like a little bit more condensed, but I think this video could turn out pretty rambly. So I do feel like I want to speak freely of everything that I've experienced over the past year that you guys haven't seen me. So yeah, grab a snack, grab a drink, and just maybe do something and keep this in the background and just as kind of a catch up between friends, if you will. Also, thank you for all the new subscribers that decided to follow this channel. Again, I've said it before when I hit like a kind of milestone with the subscribers on this channel, and I'm going to say it again, all glory to God. He is the one that puts different topics on my mind and in my heart, and I'm just the one telling you guys, and he's the one that inspires me, basically gave me the creativity to start this channel. So all glory to him, and to everyone who decided to join, welcome. And thank you for going along with me on the journey of faith, and hopefully we can learn from each other and grow in faith together. And okay, let's get started because where have I been the last year? I've been on a working holiday to South Korea. I left at the end of July and I came back at basically the last day of May this year. So I've been gone for about 10 to 11 months, and I'm going to tell you a bit about it. But first, let me rewind a little bit and start with the beginning of how I got to go to South Korea and how I got to have a job there as a teacher's assistant. So let's start with the beginning. In 2024, I visited Korea for the first time. It had been a long time dream of me to visit Korea, and I've always been interested in the culture. I've listened to the music, as you probably seen on my YouTube channel. I was a very, very obsessive K-pop stan, and I've watched K-dramas a lot, and even though it like subsided a little bit, like I started not so intensely watching and listening to K-pop and watching K-dramas, I do still like to listen to the music sometimes and watch K-dramas sometimes. But by the time that I finally got some money and saved some money to actually go there, that very obsessive feeling had subsided already, but I still was very much interested in the culture, the food, and just the history of the country as well. So I still really wanted to go, and I finally got a chance to go in March of 2024, and I went to Seoul, the capital of South Korea, for a month on vacation. And I absolutely loved it. I absolutely loved experiencing everything in the country. And when I came back, I couldn't help but feel like my time there wasn't finished yet. And I couldn't help but feel homesick for a country that isn't my home, basically. So that's what prompted me to start looking for ways to go back to Korea, but for stay there for a longer period of time, and also find ways to be able to sustain myself, because if you plan on staying longer, it's going to cost money, which is like a logical thing. So I was looking into stuff. I at one point looked at Korean studies that like to learn more Korean, and I've been learning Korean for over 3 years now, but it was just only kind of as a hobby and with apps on my phone, so nothing very serious. And even though I'd love to learn the language even more, me having to study there in Korea, like, and actually studying the language for real, I didn't think that it would be beneficial for me, because in the end I don't feel like I would be needing the language that much in day-to-day life. So I kind of dropped that whole plan. And I also looked into digital nomad. I think it's called digital nomad. Like when you're working remotely from Korea, but that plan also fell through. And I was just like researching a lot, like what are the options? And that's when I came across the option of a working holiday. And the working holidays usually provide some jobs as like an English teacher or something where you can like teach people the English language, because most of the time the people who go on a working holiday are there to travel, and they don't really know the Korean language. So, and since English isn't my first language, I thought of like being a teacher's assistant might be good for me, since I don't really have to physically teach the children, but I can still like support teachers and stuff. And I decided to go through with that. So I started preparing for the journey. I started preparing my visa, and all that time when I was preparing myself, I kept thinking and focusing on more of the holiday part of the working holiday, and not so much the working part of the working holiday, basically. And I do have to admit, I was very nervous about the working part, because as you might or might not know, I majored in communication and marketing. I've been a marketeer, like a freelance marketeer, for how many years? Since 2018, I believe, when I was still in school studying the major. And I've been working as a freelancer kind of full time since 2020. So I didn't work with kids. I've never really worked with kids like that at all. And it wasn't something that I was ever very interested in or ambitious about. It wasn't on my radar. It's just like ever since I was little, I wanted to become an author. I wanted to write. I wanted to express my creativity in whatever way. And so teaching didn't really make it in my list, basically. So yeah, I was pretty nervous about the whole deal of working with children, because what will they be like? What will they say? I don't really know. I've never done it before. And I was basically only preparing myself at first with like the working part of the holiday. And afterwards, like after that, when I got my visa and it was time to actually like have job interviews, that's when I started to realize, okay, this is a real deal. This is work, and I'm going to have to prepare myself mentally and prepare my heart for that as well. And so I was praying about what I should do, and praying for like the strength to be someone that the children could look up to, someone that the children could learn from, and I was praying for a compassionate heart for the children. That was something that I really wanted to be my main takeaway, that I would be compassionate to the children and that they can learn compassion from me. And still, my main goal, my main focus remained going to Korea and visiting a lot more parts of the country. And I was also really focused on where I would go to work, because in this program that I was doing, it wasn't really up to me to decide where I was going to work. So you could be placed in like basically wherever in the country, and I really had set my focus on going back to Seoul because Seoul was familiar to me. I've walked around there for a month and I love the city, and Seoul is the capital, so from Seoul you can basically travel everywhere to the country. I think at least it makes it a lot easier. And so I also had been praying about that, like, Lord, please, I really want to go back to Seoul. Please make it so that I can go back there and that I can go and travel more. And after praying for that a lot, I also decided to, because I still wasn't sure, I also decided to pray like, okay, God, I know that these are my desires, but God, if I suit better somewhere else in your opinion, please make sure that I will be able to go there. And I know that that's a dangerous prayer to pray, but I just didn't feel sure about Seoul being my destination for some reason. And in the end, I got placed in Naju, which is a smaller city. The biggest city near Naju is Gwangju, and that's the fifth biggest city in Korea, if I'm not mistaken. And so it's more in the south of the country, and it's smaller, it's more rural, and it's also 4 hours away from Seoul. So when I first got the news that they had like a job offer there, I had really mixed feelings. I was excited for the adventure, but also a little bit nervous and also a little bit disappointed until I actually got the chance to do a job interview with my employer. We did the interview through Zoom and we immediately hit it off. And that's when I knew, okay, I'm in good hands. I am definitely just placed here. It's meant to be. And so that's when my focus started to shift a little bit more from traveling to preparing myself for becoming a teacher's assistant. And when I arrived in July, at first I had like a introduction week with all the other people from the program, and I got to stay at a hostel with those other people, and we had like introductions and we went to different sightseeing places in Seoul and stuff, and got to learn more about the culture, got to learn more about the language and stuff. So during that time I didn't really focus on the work, of course. It was just like me settling down. And after that we got to go to our place where we would live for the next year basically. So I traveled to Naju. It was a little bit nerve-wracking for me because Seoul was the only place that I knew in Korea at that time, and all those nerves really washed away when I got picked up at the train station because the employer, my boss, was so sweet. She gave me such a warm welcome, and I remember like they were picking up my very heavy suitcases. And they were helping me, and it was a rainy day that day, and we got to share an umbrella, and they were like, have you eaten? And we went to a restaurant to eat some samgyeopsal, and it was the best. We also had some, what was it? Naengmyeon. I got to try that for the first time, and she was just so sweet. She gave me a banana milk because she was like, oh, you must be thirsty. And banana milk was coincidentally one of my favorite drinks in Korea. So we just immediately hit it off, and she was so warm and welcoming. And the whole day she just spent time with me, and going into shops and picking out things for my new apartment, because my apartment came without furniture. So she helped me like picking out stuff. We went to Daiso, we went to Modern House, and I got to pick a topper, got some bedding, and she just helped me. And we also went to get some groceries, and she was just like there to guide me through it all. And all of this really confirmed to me that I was supposed to be there. I was where I was supposed to be. And then the work began. And at first I was a little bit shy, I have to admit. And so were the kids. So it was like it came from two sides, because I was a foreign teacher, and at first I feel like some of the kids were a little bit scared of that, because like they don't understand me, and what if I don't understand them when they speak Korean? They really didn't know that I know a little bit Korean, so they were hesitant to talk to me, except for one kid. There was one girl who immediately came up to me and was like, hi, who are you? Are you the new teacher? Welcome. And also like all in English too, which is really impressive. And over time we've gotten more comfortable with each other, and we learned more from each other, and I started loving my job there. I started loving working as a teacher's assistant and getting to help the kids, getting to support them. At first, my job was to organize all of the things, all of the school materials. They had this pretty... Sorry, that was my dog. He's sleeping. At first, I got to reorganize the library, because they have a pretty big library with all English children's books, but they were like all over the place. So I decided to reorganize them by level. They have like different language levels, so level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5, and then advanced and stuff. And I also got to categorize them by genre and like topic, and which I really love, because I'm like very into organizing, and it was just such a fun project. And after that, I also got to manage the classrooms a little bit more and delve a little bit into teaching. And I was so blessed that I got that opportunity, because when I started working there more and more, and when I got into a routine, I started realizing how much I love working with kids. And one of the downsides to living in Naju was that the public transport was very inconsistent, and so it would take a long time to get anywhere, and you would have to go from bus to another bus to a subway and to get anywhere, or sometimes you have to take the train to go anywhere, and that made it a lot harder for me to be able to travel. And as you know by now, traveling was kind of the main point of me going there. But because I didn't really get to travel a lot, it allowed me to focus more on the kids and on the work that I was getting to do there. So after a couple of months, I started realizing that I really love this job. I really love working with kids. And that was something that I never would have imagined. I never, like, again, it wasn't on my radar to ever work with kids. It wasn't my ambition. And yet, I felt like a new passion was planted in my heart. And I started to kind of doubt myself. Like, is this something that just comes from the fact that I'm here in Korea? Or is this something that I really am seriously thinking of pursuing? And again, I started praying and I said, God, if this is something that you would like me to do, and if this is something that you want me to pursue, make sure to plant it in my heart and make sure that it will not leave my thoughts. And God did. So after like a few months after that, I decided that I want to change my major and I am going to get an education and I want to become a teacher. So I am super excited about this new thing. Again, it was something that I never thought I would love. I've never given being a teacher any thought at all, but suddenly I really felt passionate about it, and that's it. I am becoming a teacher. I still have a lot to do. I have to find what kind of education I want and where I'm going to study it, because there's different schools that provide that specific education, and I need to find a job to be able to afford the studies. So, and I'm also like, I turned 30 last year, at the end of last year, so I'm not getting any younger. And yeah, there's a lot of things that I still need to think about, but I am super excited. Like, as much as I am nervous, I am excited. And I am so incredibly grateful that I got this opportunity. And this whole journey, even though in the end I didn't really get to travel a lot, to me it felt like this whole experience wasn't in vain at all. And when I first landed back in the Netherlands, when I came back from Korea for the first time, I knew that I felt like I wasn't done, but I didn't really understand why. And the whole time I was preparing for my working holiday, I kept feeling guilty, because to me, going back to Korea to travel more, to me it came from a very selfish point. I didn't want the journey to be so focused on my desire, but I couldn't help it. And so even when I came there, when I came back to Korea and when I started in Naju, it was like a very weird feeling to be back and to be like, okay, I'm doing this now because I feel like I've got a green light, but I'm also not sure if I'm still doing the right thing. Is this something that is asked of me, or is this something that I'm just doing because of my own selfish desire, basically? And so the fact that I, in the end, got to get a new perspective and learn that I want to become a teacher. This whole experience it solidified for me that this was what was meant to happen. I was meant to go back and I was meant to find out that I want to become a teacher. I was meant to learn that about myself. I am so grateful that God has such creative ways in which He sometimes let you find out stuff about yourself. And I am so grateful for all the experiences that I got to get in Korea. I got to learn not only about myself and my new passion, but also about the whole culture. I got to meet new people. I got to go to a church in Korea and get more friends there. And I am so grateful for the time that I got there. And I'm so happy that I get to go to this new chapter, like start with this new chapter. So, but I think that maybe you guys are a little bit curious about how it all went down with my faith in Korea. Because, like I said, it was a very small city where I was staying. And even though they did have a lot of churches, none of the churches were English speaking churches because you're in a small city and you're basically one of the only few foreigners there. I did see a few. I think I can count them on one hand basically. But yeah, there's not a lot of things for foreigners to do. And thankfully, I got to go to a church, an English speaking church in Gwangju, which is the bigger city that I told you about. It's about an hour away from Naju. It's a little bit north of Naju, and it's an hour away by public transport. And so I got to join them. And other than that, I did manage to do some Bible studies, but I didn't do it every day. I didn't do it every week. It was like my faith definitely had some ups and downs during the time because it took some time to get back into like a routine. Your whole world is basically upside down. You have to live on your own for the first time. Oh, sorry, I touched my mic. You live on your own for the first time, and even though at that point you know that in that time you need God, it's still sometimes hard, and I feel like we can all relate to that. But did I do some Bible studies in, let me get it, my Bible? The answer is no. I couldn't take my Bible with me in the end because she's so thick and she's really heavy, and unfortunately she didn't fit back in my luggage. So I had to leave her behind, which was really sad for me. The one Bible that I got to take with me was like the small, I forgot to put it here so I can grab it quickly, but I will insert a picture. It's the small NIV Bible. It's like a pocket Bible. It's green and it has some flowers on it. That Bible also went with me when I came to Korea the first time, actually. And I tried to do a little bit of Bible studying in there, but the text was really small and I didn't really have a lot of space to write anything. So in the end, I went to Gwangju because I visited Gwangju a lot for like sightseeing because it is a big city, and Gwangju is also like more known among the foreigners. So I went to Gwangju and I found a Bible shop or like a Christian shop. They have a lot of Christian shops in Gwangju. So if you ever decide to go to Gwangju, look them up. But I decided to buy this NIV Bible. It's by, let me see, it has Biblica on here, but I also saw another. Agape. Not really familiar with that one. Don't think it matters, but it has the zipper here, and it's not that thick. It's like I think it's similar to like a thin line Bible that you would see on Amazon, but I did some, hold on, I did some Bible studies in the book of Proverbs. So I went to the whole book of Proverbs during my time in Korea, and it was my initial plan to take this one with me in my backpack when I was going back to the Netherlands, like on the plane itself. But my backpack was completely full, like to the brim with I had a laptop, and you can't really put that one in your bigger luggage, and so I had to put this one in my suitcases, unfortunately. But that's what I did. And if you want to see like a little bit of a flip through of my Bible that I used in Korea, let me know in the description, or what am I saying, in the comments. And now that I'm like starting a new chapter, I've been really focused with my faith journey on the topic of a new chapter. And when I was in Korea, I also journaled a lot, and I am planning to do a flip through of like my journals in Korea, because I finished 3 journals in Korea. I was really compelled to document my journey and kind of like explore my creativity. And I also did some research about certain Bible topics in one of those journals. And one thing that I really want in this new chapter and in this new season of my life is I am starting this new chapter, but I'm starting it with God. That's just my main goal. Like, yes, I am going to become a teacher. Yes, it is new and exciting, but I want to put God first, and I am going to rely on Him through this, because He has shown me again and again that He provides. He knows what is the best for me. He has a plan for me, and so why be stupid and not follow His plan? So, but with that, I also decided that I want to kind of start a new Bible dedicated to that whole new chapter of my life, and dedicated to kind of the studies of me becoming a teacher. I really want to document everything that I can learn through the Bible, also like connecting to becoming a teacher. And I kind of want to like put it all together, and when I finished my studies of becoming a teacher, I can take the Bible and I can look back and see how God has helped me through this chapter of my life, basically. And since I have been talking in English, or like at least I've been speaking 3 languages every day for almost a year, I've kind of gotten sick with talking in English, or talking in a language that is not my native language. So that prompted me to decide that I am going to be using a Dutch Bible. So I'm going back to my roots, and during the time that I am studying to become a teacher, I'm going to use this Bible. And actually, I've been working on this Bible for the last couple of days, like this week. And this wasn't the original cover, actually. I painted this whole Bible, and I also painted like the back. And I decided to put tabs in here. I added some new ribbons, and I'm in the process of tabbing and flagging some important topics. So I'm kind of like slowly loading up this Bible. And at first I had this elaborate thing in mind of me doing a 3-part series of me like decorating this Bible, loading up this Bible. However, when I started, I started preparing the Bible, like putting on the first layer of gesso to prepare my Bible for the painting job. I felt like this was better and more productive if it was a project between just me and God. But when I finish loading up this Bible, I will definitely give you a flip through of what I've done with that so far. And when I finish like Bible studies in here, I will definitely keep you in the know. But that's basically what I've been working on. And this is the Bible that I am going to be taking with me on this journal. What am I saying? On this journey, not journal. So yeah, that's what I've been up to for this last year. I hope you all have been doing well. And I am back. Like I said, I am not sure how consistent I will be with me uploading videos, making videos, but I will try to upload as much as I can, because like with the new studies, it's always going to be hard. But you will see more of me in the future and more of this channel in the future. And that's basically all I wanted to say. I hope when I edit this video that it won't be too long. As always, I pray you have a blessed week, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!